Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's our final game of the day. It's SAW taking on GamerLegion. Winner here, Sam, qualifies for the RMR. Exciting times.
Yeah, and of course, this is going to be our very first best of 3 for this qualifier. So this is going to be a little bit of an uphill battle potentially. But you've got that little bit of a safety net as well if you lose the first map. So we'll see how that does pan out as SAW. Apparently, I mean, Mutra is just an absolute demon, just in general, and apparently in this match as well.
2 guns are better than 1. We all have to say it, and he is proving it. Couple of messy taps both ways. Kios trying to play his back turned. Roman's going to find himself a nice comfortable one and just will see things out for SAW. That's a dream start. This is a really solid side as well. I think for SAW, they've really impressed me with the pickups that they've had recently. The one that I really want to highlight going towards this game is U-Jerks for me. Of course, he was from that previous FTW roster, and I think he has been a really solid pickup. They picked up Story as well, so those two kind of coming together as a package deal, and they've both been putting up some fantastic stats. I think kind of in the last 3 months, U-Jerks had something like a 1.2 rating, which is crazy to see. Story's not too far behind as well. This SAW side is looking like an absolute Portuguese super team. And I'm really impressed to see what they can do. But of course, on the same side, GamerLegion, they have made changes themselves. Shuhei from Mars NXT, the young IGL, someone that I'm super impressed with, has been a really good addition to the side. Kios as well. Of course, he's playing Falcons for a bit. They're kind of dragging names all over the place. Acor used to play on Mouse, the main team too. So this is kind of a very fresh squad, and they themselves, they want to go towards that RMR and prove themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me, obviously coming from a lot of the ECL casting, I'm going to be looking towards SAW here because throughout this year, they've been pretty inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And now, obviously, having made a couple of changes, I must say, I'm probably going to miss the dodo just a little bit, but changes needed to be made. And looking forward to seeing if the changes that were made are the ones that are going to kind of pivot them forward to a little bit more of a stable position, as Mutra's once again just absolutely annihilates. And of course, it was a little bit of an anti-eco there. Fair enough. You expect it to be a bit of cleanup, but for him to be sitting on what, 6 or 7 kills on round 2, sure, yeah, you take those. Solid start for them. I don't think we saw a bomb plant. So GamerLegion now, of course, going to be buying in, but a little bit less than what they would have wanted to have coming into this round. See if they can pivot this into something as they come up against SWORD's bonus.
Well, for now, this is the first test for GamerLegion. Something in which they need to sort of prove that they have that capability. On the T side, they need to start finding a bit of early form. We mentioned, for GamerLegion, this is a completely fresh squad. 3 out of the 5 are brand new additions. They're an unranked roster for the time being and looking to prove themselves here on map number 1 of Ancient. And to mention, of course, for those who don't know the veto, Ancient is the pick of GamerLegion. Vertigo is the pick of SAW to follow suit. And Nuke is our decider if we'll get there. Isaac, one of the players who's stuck around in this GamerLegion side, going to find the first. Story's rotating us in. The new boy on the block going to find Kios. Looking for 2 and he'll deliver. Isaac traded out. Acor at least finds Roman. Numbers brought level. They might be able to get a bomb bar.
3 versus 3. At least the bomb does go down, as you mentioned. Get another kill for themselves as well. Spamming through the smoke. Almost get another one just to round it out as now Story. Last player left alive. Not for much longer. Good round from GamerLegion. Had that advantage and pressed it.
For now, so far, so good. For GamerLegion, I mentioned they needed to sort of test those waters on their first full. They needed to at least kind of have a conversation starting and brewing about what they can provide on their T side. This is their map pick, and you can't really look to stats when you look towards the GamerLegion side, as I mentioned, because they are a brand new roster in terms of 3 out of the 5 new additions to the side. This is their full sort of first test, essentially. The announcement wasn't even made before they even made their way towards the RMR. They just came in, a fresh face, a new side, without even doing an announcement on Twitter or anything. They just shocked everybody. Shuhei, of course, from Mars NXT, who've won 4 out of 5 We Play Academy leagues, but had a rough 5th season just recently. Big change has been made over towards Mars, and for Shuhei, he wanted that step up in towards, Tier 2 CS, and so far it's been going so good for him. Kia's in for the opener. IEM. One more as well. Just is going to peek in with an eagle. He needs to be careful as well. He's peeking into the lion's den as a Molotov has met him, but U-Jackson just combined with the Eagles.
And Deco in it. Although SAW have done well to get a couple of kills for themselves, pick up an AK as well for that little bit of extra firepower. Still some potential here as GamerLegion make their way over towards a very empty A site. So this is going to have to be a retake situation from SAW. They're going to have to plan this very well because they don't have a lot of areas to push in from.
Slower tempo here from SAW, especially when you consider that they haven't got a kit to work with. Numbers are the same, but the smoke in their face, they sort of have to, well, wait for it to dissipate. They can't afford to go through it. They haven't got the utility to allow for that pop, and I think for them, it's about saving that AK in towards the next. With how things are in terms of their economy, they're going to have a buy regardless in towards the next round. Save an AK. They have a weapon in which they can't pick up, a weapon in which they can utilize very, very well. Keep it ticking across. Roman is just still testing those waters. He himself having a little bit of a peek, but he got that by Shuhei. That'll confirm things SAW up to 3. Gotta say though, looking decent.
Yeah. Well played to even things out a little bit. Yeah, okay, bearing in mind, of course, SAW were just on an eco in the previous round, so you do more or less expect them not to really come out on top of it. The big test is going to be kind of more or less from this round on. SAW did manage to hang on to a little bit of weaponry there, a little bit of utility, so at least I'll have that to work with as well, a little bit less of a financial burden on them, so to speak. Whereas GamerLegion, of course, coming through with pretty much all of their weaponry, barely have to spend anything into this round. SAW have actually bought into the AWP very, very early on here. Round 3 coming at you with a very, very aggressive push out through mid. So looking to deny a lot of space for GamerLegion. And GamerLegion, I mean, they're chilling. They're letting SAW use all of their utility before they even attempt anything. And they are still stacked with util.
Yeah, I mean, for now, they don't mind. With how things are kind of currently set up, SAW can allow kind of GamerLegion to take bits of control over towards A main, bits of control over towards B ramp. But they've got the important position. They've got mid in their control. Flash will come forward. Mutera needs to be careful. Nado comes through. Easy falls back towards Donut. And they walk straight in towards you, Jerks, for a double. Kios and Isaac, 6 feet under. And Jerks, the new man from FTW, now in SAW, causing problems. IEM will at least find himself one. Just in for a trade. Looking for more. As Mutera to come alive. Shuhei, left all alone. The young IGL. So much to do. So much that he needs to find here. And so little to work with.
And now nothing to work with.
That's it.
Yeah. Good shot there from Mutris. Cleaning up the end of that round. Yeah, well played here once again. So we see that kind of slower style from GamerLegion. Bait out all of the utility. But when they try to finally aggress in, SAW are able to just kind of shut it down, right? By that point, they've taken so much map control that there aren't too many areas where GamerLegion can safely aggress in. So possibly just waited a little bit too long on that one. Got an AWP here for A-Core, which is a choice. See if it does actually pan out into something. But if not, I mean, that could be pretty detrimental long term.
Well, if anyone was going to pick up the AWP, it of course would be him. I was hoping he could do something with it, especially because of that sort of hefty investment. They do have economy to work with anyway, so I guess it's not the end of the world for the time being. A little bit of a weird buy, though, because the support around it is very dicey.
Yeah.
You kind of see that double Glock setup, double Deagle. I think it's probably a case of kind of playing kind of pass the parcel with the AWP. A-Core look for information, look for a kill. If he dies, someone else will pick it up. Try again, rinse and repeat. The priority, and I think they need to be careful of, is make sure that they at least save it in towards the next if they're not going to find any success. Either way, Jerks or Jiggle Peak, you're not going to find too much. A-Core, missed shot, smoke dropped. Easy stuff for them to lock out ramp, and now back to square one for GamerLegion. That was their idea, and they've already been put straight in their tracks.
And the fact that they've managed to survive this long is relatively impressive considering how aggressive SAW have been leading up to this round. But I like that SAW aren't kind of overplaying their hand here. They realize that just because it's theoretically a full pistol round doesn't mean that you should be too overly confident. Just, there you go. Gonna start things out quite nicely for himself. They get that first kill of the round. His position is known, but it doesn't matter. He'll be able to spray through and finally get taken out. But Kios, with so little HP left, was not long for this world.
Couldn't expect too much. I think, as you mentioned, for them, it was about potentially whether they could keep that AWP in play. Not the case. And it's all going to the lead to 2. We can have a look in terms of kind of what GamerLegion are attempting to play here. And of course, you've got to consider that this is Ancient. It's one of the most CT-sided maps in the pool. Pretty comfortable. I don't think there's too much of a debate around that either more as well. Especially when you consider what we saw earlier. One round is all that Finest could find. The number 22 ranked team in the world, by the way. Can they find one round on their T side? So for GamerLegion, they're already doing better. Up to 2. Kios on opener will be traded out. But it doesn't matter. As Shuhi's Mac 10 can upgrade before he himself falls in the hands of Jerks in towards Donut. He has been causing problems. And at 3 versus 3, they've got control of the A site.
This is a little bit dicey for SAW. I mean, with this being their CT side, you're kind of expecting them to take a really solid runaway lead here because they don't want to give GamerLegion too much room to work with once we swap sides. For the moment, it looks like they might just be able to secure themselves this round as well with a nice little alert coming through here. So hopefully not dire straits just yet.
2 versus 3. I mean, the man advantage does favour SAW here. But I mean, this post spawn's so secure. It's the easiest lineup, so I'd say. Molly put out by the smoke, spamming through. Isaac's not hitting the mark. He had the lineup.
Oh.
Fine story. The low HP player falls.
No.
Tapping away as well. They're off the bomb.
No.
Isaac plays the lineup. It's such a brilliant plan, but more or less 9 times out of 10 guaranteed the T-side player walks away with the round, and that's exactly what we see. Isaac, all he has to do is play those 2 lineups. One close and personal, one tucked away back close, further away into towards donut, may I say, and simple stuff. Simple stuff. Play the lineups. Doesn't matter if there's a smoke in your face. You make it work.
Honestly, like, the big surprise for me there is that there are 3 players still alive in the smoke, and somehow he's still able to delete 2 of them. You know, he's not aiming in the same position each time. There isn't necessarily like a body block situation going on. He's just spamming through the smoke at the general area of the bomb, so there's no potential for a body block. The fact that that pans out is wild. And, yeah, SAW just kind of need to regroup a little bit here. Thankfully, they do have the slightly better buy, but they're just falling apart.
They are. I mean, this is actually getting, it's getting a little bit tough to watch. Spam coming through. It's a good lineup. Doesn't quite find the target. Just to be able to find himself one, though. IEM's out for the count. Jerks had one more. Spoken towards the bomb. Hang on a second. This is taking a little bit of a turn. Gonna tap it. Not gonna stick, though. The spray will come forward. Isaac's got a good idea that they're not on towards the bomb itself. But running towards Donut. Can't double it down before Isaac trades. He's back in a clutch. And he's back on top. 2 for him. A GamerLegion make it a 4th. And they've tied this game right back up.
See, now what's really scary is this is effectively as far as SAW should be comfortable allowing GamerLegion to get. But given what their buy is going to look like into this round, very likely GamerLegion are going to secure themselves at least 1, maybe even 2 more rounds, which definitely should be making SAW feel a little unnerved.
Agreed.
And we actually seen the pause come through here. Very likely that it is going to be SAW's pause because they've conceded far more rounds than, as I said, what they would be comfortable with. Of course, they want to go into their half with as huge as a lead as humanly possible. And as it's standing right now, GamerLegion might just be able to turn that around. SAW's kind of retake situations haven't looked that strong. They've given a little bit too much space for GamerLegion. They've allowed those plants to come through relatively easily, and GamerLegion are able to post plant so well. SAW aren't even able to find space to re-aggress onto the site.
That's it. Smoke in towards mid. It's a standard util coming through for SAW. They can't really counter it. Their utility is lacking. They're in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot as well, where for them, things are on the slightly dicier side. I think it's probably the best way I could put it. This, as you mentioned, should be GamerLegion finding themselves at 5. And normally when I look towards kind of certain maps that are what I would regard as very heavily CT-sided, Nuke's a great one, and Ancient's exactly in the same suit. You normally say, 6 rounds is that kind of golden number, and I think this is exactly the same case. Shu, he's in behind. Only good for 1. Him in for a double. Mate, that's a quad. Tapping away. Lovely stuff. GamerLegion with only 1 casualty. Make it a 5th on the board. That's the round we expected. So far, so good if you're GamerLegion. And as well, it's one of those things. For GamerLegion, we don't have too much information on this side in the grand scheme of things. This is a new roster. Their debut was in that first RMR. That's the first time we saw them, which is only, a week ago, if that. We've only seen them play Ancient on HLTV once since then, was against Eyeballers, which is Flusher and JW's side. They won that one 16-7. You look towards SAW, though, stats are great for them. They've won 4 out of 5. The only loss was to Movistar Riders, of course, ranked 6th in the world. They beat teams like Heat, Sprout, FTW, of course, their Portuguese rivals, and Anonymous literally just today. In that earlier round, they beat them 16-9. So for SAW, this is a map in which historically they've been great on. And, well, at the moment, not looking too good. I mean, they've given up the lead, and they've given 5 rounds over towards GamerLegion. They're looking pretty decent.
What's funny to me is obviously both of these two teams are really struggling to get any sort of like stable economy going.
Yeah.
Which is very detrimental for both sides, to be fair. And it does say a lot about how close these rounds are being kept. We haven't seen a ton of like super flawless rounds. You know, we see maybe one player go down and that can have an effect. And we can see that now with Shui, you know, doesn't have a rifle to match with the rest of the team just because he was the one player to die in the previous round. So it can make a huge difference when you're consistently losing players, and that does kind of leave you a little bit more unstable. I do like how SAW are positioning themselves now. They're looking to take a lot more map control, leaving mid relatively open, but that's okay because GamerLegion don't seem to care terribly much about mid. They're consistently going for this A hit, and I'm waiting for SAW to clock it.
Tapping away into his ramp. Needs to be careful. I am going to find one. Oh, and Roman. Good night. As he gets absolutely destroyed by Kios on the swing. Kios going to make it a double too. It is just left all alone. 1 versus 5. And you have to assume it's a save call here. He's not going to attempt this.
Another rough one for SAW. Man, these A hits, SAW just have no idea how to deal with it. Which is surprising because it feels to me like that's one of the sites that you could kind of more effectively... Ooh, yikes. Ow. That you could kind of more effectively reinforce. These are some good exits. Again, that long-term economy just becoming an issue here for both of these two teams. And just, okay, tries to reaggress for another exit, not able to make it happen. But he has done a bit of damage there. And of course, a little bit of extra cash for his own team, or for himself rather, which is really important when you consider, again, CT side, a little bit more difficult to build up that economy. But it's not going to make the hugest difference in the world. We might see a little bit of upgrading here, but nothing too crazy, as GamerLegion, of course, going to be running away with the firepower here. That's a shotgun.
Okay, all right. I like it. I rate it. The Nova coming out. So Story is going to be the one to wield it. I'm assuming he'd probably make his way into his cave. If I had to make a guess, Mutiris, 5'7", head on the swivel, looking the wrong way. IEM for the first. Mutiris to 4. Already, things looking pretty decent. I mean, it is just that low buy. For them to find anything, it'd be, well, something to say the least. Jerks does get himself a consolation. Steps down to just 2. GamerLegion knocking on the door of a Story shotgun to the face. Upgrade to the AK-47. Shuhi gonna find himself 1. But he's got a good angle here. Turns to the wrong point, though. And Kios will see him out. 7 rounds to GamerLegion. There is a possibility, Sam, that GamerLegion take 8 rounds and on T side and guarantee a lead on that T side.
I mean, I don't think that that's even remotely out of the realm of possibility at this point. Okay, SAW are finally able to buy back in, but they've been looking very shaky for the last few rounds. And again, not a full setup, not a perfect setup. They have to kind of force in as much as possible here. And that long-term econ just getting that little bit more dicey for them. They've kind of changed up their CT hold here as well. This time around, they're taking a stronger presence towards mid as GamerLegion start to make that push towards B. One of the few times they've done it. And it doesn't work out as they would have hoped.
Towards ramp again. Jerks taking initial point of contact, but he overextends. Shuhi low on HP, but remaining alive is again that priority because they keep the numbers level. Yes, he's low on HP, but at least it gives them a shot. Story's top holding from range, common angle. Kios walks right into it. There's the numbers brought back in favor of the Portuguese side. It's more a question of how far they can take this now. Muta will come through. I'll deny the AWP presence. Flash as well allows him somewhat of a crossover towards Donut. But from here, how does he find success? There's just still drop Acor. Donut still not under their control. Isaac turning the wrong way. Mutiris might get done by timing. And he will. Isaac finds the kill, and now he's got the A side.
Alright, 3 versus 2 here. Okay, 3 versus 1, numbers advantage. Bomb does get planted, so that's going to be a little cash available. But it's you, Jerks, to get the final kill of the round there. SAW getting themselves up to 5, denying that lead for GamerLegion. A stay of execution, at least for the moment. And we do have to kind of bear in mind here that while SAW have historically looked relatively good on this map, this is GamerLegion's map pick. So we are kind of expecting them. It is indeed their map pick. If you don't know the veto, it is Ancient, Vertigo, and Nuke will be our decider, which is a very interesting veto. Not gonna lie, but
Nuke
I'm pretty excited for it.
Nuke will be really cool. If we get a Nuke come through, I'd be very happy to see that because
SAW have looked iffy on Nuke though.
Yeah, but it's a map in which both of these two sides it's a coin flip for both because GamerLegion aren't confident either. They've won 2 out of 4, so they are quite literally the most coin flip side on it. So I think it becomes a really kind of interesting decider if we get there. The only thing that gets uncomfortable for me is I think if SAW take Ancient, this goes to 2-0 because Third goes on next map up, and it's normally one of those maps that GamerLegion aren't too comfortable with, or at the very least, in this current iteration, they've got no HLTV experience on.
Yeah, I feel like the chances of this going in favor of SAW are relatively low at this point. They have managed to get themselves another point on the board finally. Okay, they're starting to open things up for themselves a little bit, starting to get a bit more into the groove. But we spoke about how they needed to have a strong lead on their CT side. Once GamerLegion get onto their CT side in response, things could start to fall apart a little bit. However, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we see kind of the reverse law come in, where a team does badly on a CT-sided map on their CT side. So it's definitely within the realm of possibility. But for the moment, SAW continue to kind of claw their way back in. GamerLegion down to very low cash. Still going to be able to buy in a little bit here, but of course it won't be a full, strong buy. And potentially they don't actually spend too much into this one because, of course, the next round will be last of the half. So might see them kind of hold on to a little bit, maybe just buy down to about 2,000 so that they have something into the next.
Well, quick pause come through. It's still very even. I think there's definitely that sort of possibility you talked about of kind of the reverse law where we could even see SAW on towards that T side start to find some form. I think when you look towards kind of this map in terms of its general kind of trend and kind of historically, obviously that's not the case. For SAW as well, in terms of the stats, they've always been one of the sides that's been significantly better on their CT. And the distribution of rounds that they find comes majority of the time from the CT, like most teams, to be perfectly honest. But you get what I'm saying. Their T side hasn't historically been fantastic on this map, and the fact that they're already potentially kind of giving up quite a lot of opportunities on the CT to GamerLegion does spread a little bit of warning. He's looking towards mid. Muteris. Nice Nagger, I like this. He's trying to kind of engage and wait for mistakes from GamerLegion, which for the time being, I don't think they're going to give up. But of course, for GamerLegion, it is just a nothing buy. We should expect SAW to walk away with a 7th here.
Yeah, as we kind of expected, down to the more or less 2,000 credit line, 1 hero rifle, just to see if they can maybe get a few pickoffs with this one, but not really expecting to get terribly much done in this round. Giving up a lot of space here. We've seen them do this before. We've seen them try and bait out a ton of that SAW utility, but when they've done it before, they have a lot of utility of their own, and even then, it still didn't pan out. So this could end badly, as we've got a push coming up through mid here. Want to push through the smoke! Oh, it is traded out, but it's definitely going to favor SAW here.
Well, for the time being, for sure. Shuhi, 8k in hand, the only 8k to work with. Makes him behind. Surely that's been heard. Just didn't hear it. Bit of a labor spray. We're going to find the kill nonetheless. Jerks holding into his cubby. He has to come alive for a multi-frag here. There's 1. Needs to make it 2 and potentially 3 as well. He wants to give this life, and he does exactly that. As wrote down in the book, he's going to find it. Story will fall, though. Shuhi and his PT50 AK in hand, causing a couple of issues, but time is so far gone. It has to be done, surely. And it's going to be a Jerks masterclass. 4 kills for him. Find SAW their 7th. They tie the game up. It is still a long road to recovery for the Portuguese side, though.
We'll see if they can actually make that happen. Yeah. Evened out here. So, obviously, last round in this half. This is going to determine who's going to take that lead going into the next. SAW desperately want to take this one. They desperately want to give themselves as much wiggle room as humanly possible. GamerLegion probably feeling comfortable at this point, probably realizing their CT side's going to be strong, but they do start it off with a nice little trade for themselves.
That's the thing. I mean, if SAW do take this map, it looks like it should be a 2-0, to be perfectly honest, but not always the case. Spamming through, sure, you can afford to the hands of Just. The spam works well through the wood, and Just can park up, trying for the second one as well. Numbers back in favor of the Portuguese side. The reload has been heard. Well, Just is all about it. He's going to fall away. Doesn't matter. Roman for a double. He's Acor all alone. Acor needs something here. Bit of a labor spray, and it will be costly. At the half, SAW take a slim 8-7 lead. And to be honest, it's not bad, Sam, but I still think, you know, if we look at the current trend of this map, generally speaking, it's been so weighted over towards that CT side that if you're only taking a 1-round lead on your CT, there is a few sort of question marks.
Yeah, I mean, we literally saw it in the last game, right? With Finest. They take an 11-4 lead in their CT, and they still managed to lose the map, only taking 1 round on their T side. And that really does beg the question here. At an 8-7 lead for SAW, is it going to be enough? I'm not too sure.
No, that's it. I am at the kind of one side concerned about SAW just because of kind of how even it is. But of course, we know that, you know, while trends are kind of what we expect, it's not always the case. We are just about to get ready in towards the second half. SAW, of course, now on towards that T side. For GamerLegion, what do they do to try and deny any presence coming through? For GamerLegion, finding a pistol here might even be kind of those final nails in the coffin. If SAW find a 9th here, kickstart the momentum early doors, it then becomes a possibility of potentially a bit of an upside on towards this map.
Pistol round could be the tell-all here for either of these two teams, really, but it's SAW that kind of need to get that potential snowball going. So we're going to see a very aggressive push straight up through mid here. GamerLegion seem to be ready for it, but it is going to be a trade. So no man advantage just yet.
Yeah, not for the time being at the very least. Where's the score? Isaac in towards Donut. Doesn't expect the flank. Story finds that one. That gives SAW that man advantage. Bomb will go down. Jerks in for the rotation. Finds Kios. That could even help them win the pistol run. Flash will come through as well. He's taunting and weaving, costing staying alive somehow, causing just a little bit more damage. But it's down to a 2 versus 3. Bomb already starting to tick as well, so they need to be extremely cautious. As for GamerLegion, they don't have a kit to work with. There might be one dropped on the floor somewhere, but they need to recollect it. Then go for the defuse. The post bomb set up. They know they're crossing on towards the side. Bomb will be tapped. But even still, they can't set up a defuse coming forward here. And Mucheres will find a double to see things out. It's SAW who kickstart things. And Sam, that is very, very important for the T side.
Yeah, this was definitely something needed, as we mentioned. Because the CT side can be so difficult to get a grasp of, you want to get as much of a boon as humanly possible. But you also have to bear in mind, of course, as I've mentioned a few times, pistol rounds tend to be pretty chaotic. Yeah. They can kind of be coin flippy. But it's a huge boon for SAW. Win the round, bunch of Galols, and an AK for their troubles. So, I mean, yeah, huge advantage here. And with GamerLegion not winning out that round, there's a Zeus. So, you know, see if that pans out. But aside from that, not too much else to work with.
Well, for IEM, I found a Zeus, a little bit of BM, a little bit of fun. Doesn't net him any money, so it doesn't really make any economical sort of effect by any means. For GamerLegion, this is them just playing for that nice ego. Try and play for a little bit of a damage to the economy. Not going to happen, though. Just go double spray down with a Galil. Make that a third. Easy pickings for him. 2 men alive. As you mentioned, Sam, I mean, they're not expecting too much here.
Nope. Still waiting for the Zeus to... waiting for someone to push in through that area. I don't think they will. I think that he's just going to get himself flanked here, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hang on. Well, hang on. Maybe. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Just. Night-night. Hey, you'll take it.
You know what?
Doesn't want any money, but you'll take it nonetheless. A little bit of BM, a little bit of fun. And, of course, they weren't expecting too much in that round anyway.
Yeah, I mean, valiant effort, picks up a little bit of a rifle there, and unfortunately not able to get too much done with that one. The swing out is too quick and too fast on the draw. But you know what? For the memes, we'll take it. Now GamerLegion going to be able to buy in, thankfully. No defuse kit, which that's something to just bear in mind. Could end up badly for them, as of course this is going to be SAW's bonus. We'll see who comes out on top of this one.
Well, for now, GamerLegion with that FAMAS in play. He's going to find the opener. A-Core will follow up with one of his own. Flashed off the angle, but SAW down to 3 in a matter of moments. Again, already looking much better since they've had a full buy. GamerLegion comfortable. That utility has made such a difference in towards mid. Just might get a bit of timing, and there's going to be the damage, but not the kill. He had the lineup as well, but he doesn't find the kill, and it leads down to 2. Bomb is dropped for Roman and Mutiris, needing something miraculous here, and a smoke in their face. I think for me, that more or less confirms it.
I mean, this is good for GamerLegion. Start getting back into it a little bit. Oh, that was very close. That swing coming out a bit too far there. Oh, Mutuals. They know exactly where you are, buddy. Good try, good try. Yeah, so GamerLegion finally buy in. So now they have actual weaponry to actually take the fights. And lo and behold, it works out. You know, that is somewhat to be expected. Yeah, now SAW are going to find themselves in a rough one because it is only a 2-round deficit. So again, haven't managed to build up much of a lead here. And after only winning 2 consecutive rounds, their economy is not where it really should or could be. So the buy is less than ideal. GamerLegion, yeah, no issues here for them economically, but they do want to try and get through this round with as many players alive as possible.
Well, Shuhi going to find the first. Molotov will finish off just. Damage down towards Jerks as well. This is for SAW, where they've gone for a full investment. They've gone for essentially what is a bit of a risk here. Not looking too good for the time being. Roman, 8k in hand, leading the charge. For SAW, you really got a feel for them. What was a pretty solid start to this half on their T side is starting to already look a little bit more dicey. Since GamerLegion had a full buy, they have looked unscathed. And especially the 2 boys from the old Miles organization, they've been stepping up huge.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we talk about those pistol rounds. They can create a huge snowball for you, but being that this is the T side and a very CT-sided map, it does make it that little bit more difficult to get the results. However, chaos ensues as it's already brought down to a 2 versus 2.
Bomb down as well. That's a different scenario. Not the one we expected earlier. Good idea. Good timing on the swing. Isaac will fall, and now they got a pretty decent idea of where Shuhi's coming from. The young gun has to step up huge here. Oh, the Canopy boy, he's got it in his bones. The question is, can he find it? Damage dealt on towards Roman. He's down to 25 points of HP. Smoke on the bottom. Flash will come forward, and he'll find a freebie. Looking for 2.
No.
I never doubted him. Shuhi, stunning for a 4-piece from the young IGL when he makes it look easy, putting Poland on the map with prowess as GamerLegion up to 9.
Oh, that's a huge misplay from SAW. They had that in the bag. And unfortunately, it's one of the young guns that comes through. It's always the young guns, isn't it? That just completely dash all of your hopes and dreams. And what should realistically have been an 11th round for SAW goes over to GamerLegion, leaves SAW in a very rough spot economically. They've got like nothing to work with here. Yeah. So unfortunately, they're going to have nothing to, you know, take them through. Got like, yeah, you go, use 2 of their flashes, that's their 1 smoke gone, and they just get loaded. Well,
already looking great. Isaac, Shuhi, 1 more. Mutiris and Just. Half HP. This should be a pretty easy cleanup. Mutiris all alone now. Bomb in hand. P250. And a little bit of a dream, to say the least. He might potentially get the smallest amount of time to get a bomb down. And technically, actually, he could just about get a bit of timing. No. Isaac, he's not heard it? He's not heard it. So he does get the bomb down. Wow. At the very least, for SAW, that's actually a slight silver lining, to be perfectly honest, because I really would have thought Isaac would have heard it. He actually wasn't that far away. Does fall, as expected. For GamerLegion, they walk away with 4 bodies remaining alive. For SAW to get a bomb plant there, that was huge, especially that it was a 1 versus 4.
10 to 10. 4 players still alive at the end of the round. All the cash they could possibly wish for. I will say it's definitely a lot closer than what we may have expected. I kind of was under the impression that GamerLegion would come into their CT side and just completely run away with it. So SAW are at least still keeping it competitive to a point, but it does feel like there's some of these small mistakes that GamerLegion are doing so well to just capitalize on, right? That kind of lack of communication, per se, where
Agreed.
you're not necessarily calling out where people are, calling out where they're pushing from, calling out where you're dying, and GamerLegion are able to just take control of the situation off the back of that. There's another key example of possible over-aggression. But it does get traded out, so we take those.
I think for SAW, this is starting to get, for me, concerning in terms of that their T-side's not warranting too much success. I mean, they're getting bomb downs occasionally, but the map control has been dire. And speaking of dire map control, this is the bomb. This is for free. Bomb down, Isaac seats into the back lines, and that's it. Surely he'll clear close and personal. He'll know that they have to be pushed towards caves. So that means for him, he can park up. Doesn't expect the flank to come through as Roman will trade him out, brings the numbers back level. It's a lot of info for GamerLegion. They know where the bomb has dropped. They know essentially how SAW were setting up, which is towards that B site.
And this potential lurk could be dire, although it's taking a long path. Might not get into position in time. That could spell disaster for GamerLegion if they're not careful here. SAW very securely on the site, gets killed with the HE bomb, getting planted. GamerLegion under so much pressure, they just can't fight back. The lurk's in too late. Does he save, or does he actually go for this?
Oh, taking a pop shots through. I think it's already getting towards that save call, though, to be perfectly honest. Will our warrant for an AK-47? Nade will go into his cubby. Damage, a little bit of damage dealt, and I think that more or less confirms it. If he had found that nade kill, we can have a conversation about a retake. Not going to happen here, though. They know where he is. He's running, well, he's completely run out of util now, so just a save call to be made. Looking for exits. Don't think you'll find too much. That is SAW up to 11. At the very least, we're seeing a bit of a conversation being made here about a SAW T side. That was much better. They kind of turned things around from what wasn't looking great initially speaking. However, it still, for me, seems like a sort of a long road to recovery.
Yeah, especially for that economy. You know, we talk about how important the long term is, and they're starting to build it up a little bit, but it's by no means in a safe position. And especially now, because this has gone so back and forth, neither of these teams are being given the opportunity to build up any sort of a loss bonus, if you want to call that an opportunity. So it does make it difficult to build up some of those funds. You either want to be winning rounds and winning them convincingly, or you want to be losing rounds but getting some of that loss bonus. To go back and forth 1 for 1 for 1 for 1, it makes it really difficult to build up any sort of a buffer here. We can see it again here with GamerLegion. Not an ideal buyout yet, but this is a good position. Pays off dividends, but only for one.
Well, Isaac and Jerks. That 1 for 1, as you mentioned, opens the game up a little bit. I guess it spreads GamerLegion a bit thin here, but they don't kind of still have a bad control by any means. The only thing that could become a bit of a worry is the only thing denying SAW just walking on towards the B site is that one smoke. You see one player tucked away. IEM's distracted, and he's looking the wrong way too. He's got to focus over towards the mid player. He'll drop back in towards cave. Fortunately, a rotation has come forward from Shuhei, and it's looking once again like they want to make that hit towards B.
Pulling back was 100% the right call, but the lurk is caught. Completely shut down, but IEM, who did pull back, is now holding this cheater position perfectly, gets a second kill. Knows what the third one is. Covered by the cross, but it's brought down to the 2v2.
Even right now as well. From this position prior, we saw SAW managed to manipulate it back in their favor. The bomb going to be able to try and make it into the side. Plant will come through in the open. Shuhei labored spray gets punished. It's left down to 1. IEM been a solid part of the side for quite a while, but Jerks, the man from Portugal, just too crisp.
And this is looking much better from SAW. I like the fact that they're trying for more kind of, I don't know, more creative plays, right? You kind of see them posture towards A a little bit. That and then try and pull out some of the rotations. They head on over to B. Oh, B is a bit of an issue, so they just head straight on back to the A site. And those are the kind of plays that you like to see. You like to see the quick thinking, on your feet, stabilize, and then figure out what your next move is going to be. And that was something that we'd kind of missed in the previous matchup as well, where a lot of those rounds were very, very telegraphed, especially from like forward, for example. So I think that this is what's really leaning itself into SAW being able to pull away a little bit here on their T side. They're constantly keeping GamerLegion guessing as to what the plan is going to be. So for now, GamerLegion with a full gamble stack over onto the A site. Understandable. They've only got pistols. And again, SAW not being too overly confident with the fact that it's an anti-eco, right? They're still giving much due respect to their opponents.
I think on the other side as well, they're very cautious of a gamble stack, which is a pretty standard thing, especially for them. Would they expect the gamble stack towards A? It's not a site in which they would default towards. Their default has been that B ramp control. Pretty standard for most teams, to be perfectly honest. They do need to be cautious of not overrating, not trying to flood in towards the A site and walking in towards that stack. Roman's having a little look, though. He is, well, slowly, essentially walking in towards the Lion's Den. And the bomb's going towards Donut. Oh, no. They are going in towards, or walking towards the stack at the very least. First will go the way of Roman. He will be traded immediately by Isaac. Surely that tempts the rotation now, though. Mutiris has find Kios, or do they just try and fight their way on towards the side? Surely they just flood towards B, which they know is open.
Yeah, I was curious to see if that lurk from Mutiris was going to get much of anything, but as you say, they just completely pull out as quickly as possible, leave just a little bit further back there to try and catch anyone in their rotation. The gunshot is heard, and there you have it. Only 2 players left alive here for GamerLegion. So far split up. You can even see Shui probably just going to hold on to that AK in Narnia, and Isaac going to try and get some exits if he can. Aside from that, that's the round.
Just finds Isaac. And it leaves Shuhei in a little bit of a situation where he's got one priority. Stay alive, but most importantly, just keep that AK in play. I mean, their economy isn't bad. They will have a buy-in towards the next, but of course, it's just the fact that they won't be able to vest in towards the AK. You may as well prioritize saving it across, rather than the other option, which was kind of go a little bit hunting. I don't think it even would have been too bad for kind of for Shuhei to go and have a little hunt, because he knows he's going to have a buy-in towards the next regardless. It's kind of, but he could also damage some of that economy over towards SAW, at least keep it in check, potentially even drop the AWP out of play, which could have gone in their favor. Not worth doing, though. For now, though, SAW up to 30, and this is kind of that conversation on something earlier. If SAW take this map, I get concerned that SAW take the series, because they're very, very decent on Vertigo.
Vertigo is always an interesting one, and also I feel like it can lean a little bit into CT, especially on that kind of ramp position. But of course, GamerLegion will likely be starting on the CT there, so we'll see if they have a chance. But the conversation of this map is not over just yet. As GamerLegion start to move in under the cover of a molly, and I never thought I'd say that. First kill gets taken by Isaac.
Isaac gonna find Jerks. That's another important one as well. Jerks has been a bit of a difference maker for a long time for this side. He's stepping up huge, especially the entries. Mutiris tapping towards mid. He's now stuck in an awful position. He can't escape it. He's got no utility to help him. He has to essentially pug his way out of it unless the support comes through. In comes that mid smoke, buying him some time and space. But there is definitely the potential of being spammed down. We'll take the cross. Smoke misses, in fact, as well, so he's still not in a great position. But as we stand, things are looking much, much better for GamerLegion. Finally on their CT side, we're starting to see them step up. We're starting to see them find a little bit of form. And a re-smoke in denies Mutiris wrapping through. For IEM, he can park up. The donut player as well, not feeling too much pressure. This is looking significantly better.
And it's definitely a round that they need to win. If you take a look at what their economy is looking like, 2 of their players have bought down to 0. IEM down to 50. You know, they need to kind of come out on top of this one if they want to have anything going into the next few rounds. But SAW not looking to make it easy for them. They've gained control of the site. Bomb's gone down, so that means they've got a little bit of cash in the bank here. Trades coming out, but it's not really going to be enough as Mutiris bites the bullet, so to speak. Defuse is going to come out, and yeah, much better round here from GamerLegion, getting themselves a little bit of extra cash going into the next round, so we'll be able to get some sort of a buy out of it. And SAW, whose econ hadn't been looking too great, they will be able to scrape through one more buy. But if they lose this round, the conversation swings in the opposite direction again.
Yeah, and that is the big thing. There's a real opportunity where for Mallows they win off economy, basically more than anything, just because of Soars being a little bit unstable. I guess the only real big positive is that they're finding consistent bomb plants, and I guess with that it does give them a little bit of stability. But even still, it's not even being the kind of most consistent factor where I've been too confident at T side. It was mid Kios in the open. How has Kios walked away with a kill there? Full blind. He has no idea what or who he's shooting at. And he's made it work. Fair play. Romanov on the trade at the very least. Numbers still kept the same. Trades benefit the T side, especially as they start to pug their way towards B. And Shuhei taking phase, takes some damage, but he will just about manage to fall away. Nading's not exactly the best present for him as he's left with 13 points. And Mutiris, laboured spray. IEM can't jump around the corner. On towards the site. Shuhei left alone. Sam, I think this is a SAW 14.
I'm actually really impressed with how SAW have been playing this T side. You know, I was talking about how they like to kind of swap things up a little bit, keep GamerLegion on their toes, and that's working out really nicely. But I feel like GamerLegion might have been getting confident or overly confident in the fact that it's on the CT side, right? I mean, you can see like quite a lot of aggression that comes out from them fairly early on in the round. And it's almost like they kind of run into one another because neither of these two teams tend to play a super, super slow, hesitant style. SAW sometimes will play slightly slower, but it's very much a kind of like running into... ooh, if that had turned into a double, I don't know what I would have done with myself. Yeah, so GamerLegion tending to get a little bit overly confident in this one and SAW doing a really good job of taking advantage. But we had said if SAW lost that round, the conversation kind of turns in terms of what economy they have available. And yet, despite the fact that they won that round, their economy is still not great. And obviously they spent a lot in the previous round. So coming into this one, having lost a few of their players as well in the previous, yes, they do win the round, but when you lose those players, you have to buy in for them again. So, again, not a perfect buy, still a damn good one, but not perfect and certainly better than what GamerLegion have. And they get overconfident.
Oh no. Well, for SAW, this is a good opportunity for them to potentially break that economy, and now look where they stand. Roman isn't going to fall back, in fact, just still find one of his own. Do they clear Shuhei into Cubby? Surely they expect it. Acor's making noise. Story freebie. Oh, not the cap. Not to happen, man. I was like, Acor, that is lightning fast. That should have been a free kill. Story can hear him bounding down ramp. And now look how things posture. Bomb dropped. Information gained. With SAW in a really good opportunity to break the economy, the tables have turned. As Acor's given them a bit of a breath here. And the two boys from the old Mallows org, one from the academy team, one from the main team, keeping the dream alive for GamerLegion. Nading towards ramp, could cause some damage. Will, in fact, beautiful nade. As Robage up to 66. Still 4 seconds to work with. So it's not the end of the world. They got a bit of time. They can slow things down. But not anymore. Acor will drop Roman. And for Just as well, I don't even know what his decision is. Rotating over towards A is risky. He's going to have to expect that Shuhei's parked up there. They've done damage to Acor, so he knows that the fight may potentially be a little bit easier. But of course, he's going against an orb. And the orbs always cause problems over towards the B site. But this nade, hang on a second. If Acor stayed in his position, that'll be a beaut. Flashes will come forward. That'll beckon over the rotation of Shuhei. Bomb still needs to go down, and it will just be able to.
That's a huge boon here. He manages to survive just a little bit longer. It doesn't have any smokes, and there you go. The shoulder peeks out, gets shut down, and unfortunately not able to get themselves up to 15. And again, we've got to have a conversation about the money that they have available to them because it's not much. They needed to win this round. But for GamerLegion, this is a stay of execution. This is fantastic news. They're going to be able to buy in reasonably comfortably into this one. Not perfect once again, but still going to be all right. Still have the weaponry, still have the armor, you know, a few of those defuse kits as we talk about being very, very important. So thankfully they've still got that going for them. And crucially, the AWP is still in play here. Whereas SAW, I'm curious. So we are in a pause here, but again, you're not expecting too much to come out of this one. maybe buy down to the 2K again, right? We saw them do it in the previous half, and it worked out quite nicely. So they might try for that again. Maybe even pull out 1 or 2 hero rifles, hero AKs, which could be damaging to GamerLegion if they can get themselves into a good position. Damn, I'm good.
There we go.
All right. Okay, Galil as well. I didn't predict that one. Damn. But there you go. So got a little bit of firepower coming into this one. But again, we find ourselves on a really pivotal round here.
Now, at the very least, I think for SAW, this is it's one of those buys which just seems slightly desperate in the terms of kind of they are hoping to find any success here. You know, especially with the Max and Deagle to support that double AK, they are really hoping that they can play the trades for it. Of course, they've got to clear Shuhi close. He falls off the angle just momentarily. This jerks clear him. Got barrel spotted. Not able to double down. Damage that was great, but IEM, that should have been a kill. And the fact that it wasn't causes problems. Acorn is going to find one and fall back, and he can reposition before Just tears his head off. That's the B-side. And surely a bomb plant coming through too, and Just going to go even more aggro as well. Story does take an initial point of damage, but he should be able to get this bomb down momentarily, as Just wants to go nice and aggro. And in the open, in the flames, he'll find one before he's traded. Leaves Kios and an MP9 with a dream here. And how does Kios even play this Story? He can out left eye peek. MP9 finds him. Does he expect the player in behind him? That's the only thing. I don't think he will. Gutierrez rips his head off. SAW up to 15. Portuguese super team are 1 round away from taking GamerLegion's map pick of Ancient and going to their pick of Vertigo with a lovely cushion underneath.
Yeah, unfortunately, they come into their very last round in this half a little worse for wear, but they also know that they've absolutely destroyed GamerLegion's economy, or at the very least, they've predicted as much, right? You don't necessarily have that information. You gotta guesstimate a little bit, but they know that they're in the lead. They know that they're more or less in the clear here, so a slightly more aggressive push could be just what the doctor ordered. Need to be aware, though, because GamerLegion love this deep mid push, and there you go. Whew, they're able to come out on top of that one.
I mean, for GamerLegion, this is desperate now, isn't it? I mean, this is pure desperation. They fully invested towards the prior. They expected to walk away with it, especially when you compare what SAW had. Look how we stand. Just spots at the Deagle. A risky repeat from him. Smoke will come in, goes off the close position. IEM pushing through the smoke. Finding one. Can he make it a second? He can't. Just spraying. Makes it a double, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is one. He's done. May I say, it is just Isaac. 5-7. A dream. A hope to find something. And I think it's probably just a stretch too far.
I see a world where he picks up an AK or something and
pulls up a
kills
1
everyone.
versus 4. It's the best round. Well, there's one. AK as well picked up. Oh no, I don't have an AK to Galil, unfortunately for him. Make his way forward. Timer so far ticks away. He doesn't have a kit. So, I mean, he's essentially playing for stats now. Smoker towards the bomb. Swinging in just to see things out. But just, it's an ace as well. For SAW to take GamerLegion's map pick is a cracking start from them. This is the SAW that we know and love, and it's more a question of how far can they take it. Of course, that is not it done and dust, though. This is a best of 3. That was the map pick of GamerLegion. Our next map on the chopping block is Vertigo. It's the pick of SAW, though. So, slightly worrying over towards the other camp. What we're going to do is we're going to throw this one to a very quick break when we are